Yes, my people, it is your boy VRD, and we are back for another commentated drive. Today we are down here at the Ashford down sidings in Ashford Depot. We are going to be taking a 12 carriage class 395 Javelin out of Ashford Depot. We're going to be driving it in that direction for about half a mile. We're then going to change ends and head back into Ashford Station, Ashford International Station, which is over there somewhere. After that, we're going to be driving a fast service up to London St Pancras International. So this is going to be quite a long-winded video. I've been meaning to cover the section of track between Ashford and Ebbsfleet International for quite some time now, but I just haven't had the chance to get round to it. Until now, we are doing this today, right here, right now. So without further ado, let's just get straight into this. So here is our big shiny class 395 Javelin. We're going to enter the back cab. The train has been configured to be in a cold and dark state. I've come in and done that before commencing with the recording of the video because that is more realistic. That is how you would come across a train that you're about to take into service. It would be in a cold and dark state. So yeah, I just decided to come in and do that. First thing we are going to do is press and hold the aux on button. And we're going to hold that down until the electronics of the train fire up. Just like that. Perfect. And that is actually all we need to do at this end of the train. I'm just going to ensure that the headlight switch is in the correct position, which it is. It is currently in the tail position, which is correct. I'm now going to exit the cab, close the cab door behind me, and just ensure that we have two red tail lights being displayed, which we do. I'm now going to make my way towards the front of the train. And now that we are at the front of the train, I'm just going to perform another check of the lights, this time at this end. Ensure that we have two red tail lights being displayed, which we do, which is perfect. I'm going to enter the cab, sit in the driver's seat. Oh yeah, the safety systems. So I've already configured the safety systems to be active because that is how you would come across them in real life. But in Train Sim World, your AWS and driver safety device safety system isolation switches, by default they would be in the horizontal isolated positions, but I've already come up here and turned them into the vertical normal positions. And same with these switches, I can never remember what these are called, but the middle switch and the top switch, by default they would be in the horizontal position like this, but I've obviously come and already turned them into the vertical positions. So yeah, just keep that in mind. You would have to do that yourself when setting up the train. I'm gonna sit in the driver's seats. I'm going to insert the master key, turn the F and R switch into the neutral position, and acknowledge the AWS self-test sequence. I am now going to, so what I like to do is perform a clockwise check starting from the left hand side when I'm setting up a class 395 Javelin. So first thing I'm going to do is turn the headlight switch into the marker light configuration because we are currently in a depot, so we don't want to be using our bright headlights. I'm now going to configure the train to draw 750 volts of power from the electrified third rail. To do that, I'm going to press and hold the DC button until it lights up, just like that. I'm then going to press the yellow button beneath it that says pan up and choose down. And as you can see, the line volt light has illuminated, and the light below it, the MCB/VCB light, has extinguished. That tells us that we are successfully drawing power from the electrified third rail. What's next? I'm going to now test the KVB system here, even though there is no KVB. Actually, there's KVB. Is there KVB into Ashford? I could not remember, you know. But I'm gonna test the little KVB interface here. So I'm just gonna press and hold the test button. Just let it go through its little test sequence, just like that. I'm now going to perform a static brake test. So on a class 395, what I normally do is select forward on the FNR switch, select the emergency position on the PBC, and just ensure that the reading on the brake gauge corresponds with that. So it should shoot up to about 130%. Then gonna return the PBC to the maximum braking position, and the reading on the brake gauge should return to 100%. I'm now going to gradually reduce the braking force down to the minimal braking position, which is 30%. So I'm just making small decrements in the braking force, just ensuring that the brake gauge corresponds with those actions. And we're now down to the minimal braking position, which is 30% of the train's braking force. I'm now going to momentarily release the brakes, observe the brake gauge reading begin to fall towards zero, and then shoot the PBC right back into the emergency position, just like this. So you can see the brake gauge reading beginning to fall, but I'm not letting it go all the way to zero. And straight back into the emergency position, once again ensuring that the brake gauge reading corresponds with that. Returning the PBC to the maximum braking position, and the brake gauge reading should once again fall to 100%. FNR switch can now be returned to the neutral position. I'm now gonna test the emergency brake plungers. So press in the emergency brake plunger, pull it back out. Brake gauge reading should be held at 130%. And to reset the braking force, PBC goes into emergency and back to maximum braking. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other brake plunger over here. Just like that. Perfect. The final thing I'm gonna do is just ensure that our marker lights are being displayed correctly, which they are. And that is the startup procedure complete. Okay, so the time is now 4:34, and we've been instructed to stop at this location over here. Now we don't have a starter signal here, so before resetting the driver reminder appliance, I'm going to come into the map here and ensure that our route to our instructed stopping location is set correctly, because I don't want to have an embarrassing crash. Trust me, it's happened to me before. Always when you're traveling in areas that have manually set points like this, you want to always ensure that your route is set before moving away, because in train sim world, if you go over a set of points that are set against you, you're gonna bounce off of the track and the game will end. Very embarrassing. Very, very, very embarrassing. So I double checked that our route is set. I can now reset the driver reminder appliance. I'm going to sound the depot whistle just to alert any ground situated members of staff that we are ready to depart. If I can remember where the depot whistle is, I think this is it here. Yep. And as we move off, I'm going to test the whole start button. So FNR switch goes into forward. I'm holding in the whole start button, moving the PBC into the off position to release the brakes. And because the hill start button is still being held in, our brake gauge is being held at 30%. I'm now going to select notch 1 of power, wait for about a second, and then release the whole start button. The brake gauge falls to 0 and our train begins to roll off. The speed limit at the moment is 10 miles an hour, But as we get closer to these sets of points, I'm most likely going to reduce that down to 5 miles an hour, just so I can pass over the points that are slow enough speed to visually inspect them to ensure that they're set correctly. So you can see we're coming up to a set of points now, so I've just used a small burst of minimal braking to reduce our speed down to 5 miles an hour. And once we get down to about 2.5 miles an hour, I'll use a small burst of notch 1 power to bring our speed back up to 5 miles an hour. So just doing that now. And as you can see, we've been routed through the train wash. Now if the train wash is on, we need to be traveling at no faster than 3 miles an hour as we travel through here. Is it on? It is on, so I'm going to reduce the speed now. And just using a small burst of step 1 power. I keep calling it step 1 power, notch 1 power, to bring our speed back up to 3 miles an hour. And I'll be repeating that process just to maintain 3 miles an hour. This is a very, very, very torture-like process, driving at such a low speed for such an extended period of time, but it has to be done, unfortunately. I can't wait to get out onto the high speed section. So you can see a second train wash coming up in the distance. That is what I'm going to be using as reference for my stopping position. So I'm going to stop just before entering that train wash. And that train wash is situated exactly 12 carriages beyond the first train wash. So by stopping just before we enter that, the back of our train should have just cleared the first train wash. And again, I'm just continuing to use small bursts of notch 1 of power just to maintain 3 miles an hour. We seem to be on a slight climb coming out of Ashford depot. And we're now approaching the second train wash, so I'm gonna just use a tap of minimal braking to bring us to a stand there. And nope, it appears that the game hasn't registered us as being stopped in the correct position. Okay, that's annoying. Alright, so I think I have to proceed until the front of my train is just clear of the train wash. So okay, no problem, we'll do that. And because this train wash is currently switched on as well, I'm not going to exceed 3 miles an hour. So I'll bring it forward a couple more feet. Stop about here. Maybe that should do it. Yep, there we go. Right, what are we being instructed to do now? Service is scheduled to start at 4:56. And we're going to be going from here to Ashford International Platform 6. Okay, perfect. So we've actually got quite a bit of time. Right, PBC goes into maximum braking or full service. F&R switch goes into neutral. I'm setting the driver reminder appliance. Headlight switch can go back into the tail position like that, and that should be it. So I'm going to move the F&R switch into the off position now. I'm going to remove the master key, and I'm going to deactivate the safety systems, that being AWS, driver safety device, this switch over here, and this switch over here. I'm trying to see what alright, so I think the middle one is the KVB isolation switch. The top one, I'm not sure what the top one is, but I do know that you need to drive with those two switches in the vertical positions. Anyway, we're gonna turn off the cab light, exit the cab, and make our way to the other end of the train. And of course, ensuring that we have 2 red tail lights being displayed before doing so, which we do. So yeah, I'm gonna head to the other end of the train now. And oh yeah, in reality, you wouldn't want to be entering the cab on the side of the train that the electrified third row is situated. So as you can see, on this side there's an electrified third row, so it would be very unsafe to enter the cab from this side. So what I'm going to do is cross over and actually enter the cab from this side, because if there's a third row beneath you and then you slip as you're climbing up the steps to enter the cab, there's a chance you're going to land on the electrified third row, and 750 volts going up your backside is something that you don't want. Now that we're in the I don't even know what to call this now. It was the back cab, but I guess now it's going to be the forward cab, because this is the cab we're going to be in to drive towards London. Anyway, turning the AWS and driver safety device safety isolation switches into the vertical normal positions, and again doing the same thing with these 2 switches in this cabinet over here. Okay, now inserting the master key once again. F&R switch goes into neutral, and resetting the AWS self-test sequence. Headlight switch goes into the marker configuration. Once again, configuring the train to draw 750 volts of power from the electrified third row. Testing the KVB system. And performing a static brake test. Right, so I'm now gonna quickly check the marker lights. Yep, they're being displayed correctly. Now gonna enter the cab and await our scheduled departure time, which is in about 9 minutes. So I'll catch you guys in a bit. Right, we are at our scheduled departure time and we have been instructed to proceed into Ashford International Platform 6. So before we get on the move, I'm going to ensure that our route has been set correctly. So we need to, our route needs to be set up to this signal here. So I'm going to work backwards from the signal because that seems to be a bit easier. Just going over all of these points here, making sure that they are set in the correct positions. Yep, that seems to be fine. I'm now going to reset the driver reminder appliance. F and R switch can go into the forward position, and once again I'm going to test the whole start button as we move off here. Just like so. And unfortunately we're going back through the train wash and it is still switched on, so we can't exceed 3 miles an hour at the moment. I know, it's ridiculous. And we're heading back in the direction that we just came from, so we're actually going to be going downhill now. So instead of having to constantly apply little bursts of power, I'm now going to have to constantly apply little bursts of braking to prevent us from exceeding 3 miles an hour. And I'm just looking at these points as we pass over them to ensure that they are set correctly. They are a bit hard to see because of the way the Class 395 Javelin is designed. Like, we're sat quite far back from the windscreen, so it is kind of difficult to see the points. Just applying a small burst of minimal braking to stop us from exceeding 3 miles an hour. We're going to be stuck at 3 miles an hour for quite a while because we have to wait for the full length of our train to be clear of the washer. Although that being said, what time are we due into Ashford? Okay, we don't have a time. Interesting. I don't know. I feel like we're going to be a bit late departing from Ashford, but we'll see. We'll see. So I believe this double yellow signal here applies to us. Actually, yeah, it clearly does. Look how close we are to it. XC, I haven't got a clue what XC means. I know what it means coming into Ashford International from London, but heading into Ashford International from the eastern side, I don't know what XC actually means. Yeah, so but all I know is that we've been routed into Ashford International Platform 6. So I'll probably give it about 30 more seconds and then I'll accelerate up to, what is the speed limit at the moment? I think the speed limit's probably gone up to 20 miles an hour now. So I'm going to accelerate up to 20 miles an hour in about 15 seconds time, because by then I'm sure we'll be clear of the train wash. So yeah, XC, when you're coming into Ashford International from London, you get a signal, the signal, not the signal protecting Ashford International, the signal before the signal that protects Ashford. If that is saying XC, that tells you that you've been routed into platform. Oof. You've been routed. No, no. No, XC means you've been routed into platform 5 or 6, and then the following signal that will determine whether you're being routed into platform 5 or 6. If the signal says C instead of XC, that means you've been routed into platform 6. But XC means that you still have an opportunity to use both platforms. I think I don't know, man. Anyway, we're gonna accelerate up to 20 miles an hour here. So I'm just using notch 1 of power to accomplish that. Now it does look like that red signal applies to us, but I know that that isn't the case because the last signal that we passed was a double yellow. So if you come up on a red after passing a double yellow and you end up passing that red, it's not your fault. So yeah, as you can see, we have a single yellow coming up. That is more logical, so that clearly applies to us. "20 miles an hour at the moment actually feels quite fast." Excuse me. Yeah, 20 miles an hour actually feels quite fast at the moment because we've been traveling at 3 miles an hour for so long. And here we are entering Ashford International Platform 6. Stopping position is right at the end of the platform here. Just using minimal braking to begin to bring our speed down. I'm going to up that very slightly because we are coming up a bit too fast on the stopping position. Reducing it back down to the minimal position. I'm now releasing. I can't for the life of me actually see the stopping position because I still have the marker light switched on. I think I can just about make it out on the left. So I'm just going to creep up towards it using a couple bursts of the minimal braking position. And I'm going to stop as the stop board appears in the window on the left here. So about now, there we go. Right, PBC goes into the maximum braking position. F&R switch goes into neutral. And yeah, we're now entering passenger service, so I can release the doors. If I can find the buttons for them, I think they're here. Yep. Also need to set the driver reminder appliance because we are at a red signal. Do you know what? Let me just turn on the cab light because this is hopeless. I can't even find the cab light button. Oh no. I lacked Where? This isn't good, you know. Good thing we have a torch. Yeah, yeah, boy. You thought you had me. Right, setting the driver reminder appliance. And I am now going to turn the headlight switch into the night running configuration because we are now on the main line. That is it. No, that isn't it. We need to change the power supply. So we're currently drawing power from the electrified third rail, but to continue on our journey, we need to change the train's configuration to draw power from the electrified overhead cables because that is the source of power for trains heading up towards London St Pancras. So to do that, I'm going to hold the CTRL button, wait until it lights up. I'm now going to press the pan up, shoes down button. And as you can see, the line vault light has illuminated, but the MCB/VCB light is also still illuminated, and that needs to extinguish. So we press the pan up, shoes down button a final time, and we are now successfully drawing power from the electrified overhead cables. I'm now going to quickly exit the cab to look at the to ensure that the headlights are being displayed correctly, which they are. A brighter headlight shining from the driver's side, LED style light shining from the non-driver's side, which is the night running configuration. Perfect. And now we wait for our scheduled departure time.